Okay, in today's JavaScript class, okay, how to write code, JavaScript code to display the date and time. And whenever we click on a button, okay, the date and time will be displayed. Okay, this is the code. So I will explain after that. I will remove the total code from here, and then after I will write each and every code. Okay, as I told you that this is what online web editor. Online web editor means, suppose if you want to write a code, you need to install that programming language. Okay, so that is called IDE, integrated development environment. Here for JavaScript we can use the web editors, so that whenever you need, you can edit the code and you can on the spot instantly you can check the code whether it is being executed or not. So this is executed, code is executed. So I will explain line by line. So first line, exclamation mark doc type HTML. I told you that in the previously, this is the declaration of HTML declaration. So exclamation mark doc type HTML, the HTML declaration 5, then HTML element. I told you that everything is element. Okay, so many elements are there: HTML element, body element, header element, paragraph element. Okay, so that is hyperlink element, video element, like there's so many elements. So HTML started with HTML. Every element has two tags: start tag, end tag. Okay, so once HTML started with HTML start tag, finally ended with at the end of the coding, end tag started with forward slash. Okay, so HTML start tag, then HTML finally closed with HTML close tag, that is called end tag. Body, next body started with body start tag, next body closed with body end tag. So H2, that is called your header element. So inside of every element, as I told you that every element has start tag and end tag and end tag. So H2 element, header element, started with start tag and ended with end tag. In between these two tags we can keep the content. Here content is, which content means which is to be displayed on the screen. Content, okay, which is to be displayed. My first JavaScript program, my first JavaScript. So see, my first JavaScript that is being displayed. If I want to change this as JavaScript program, you change this. Okay, program, you write like this, program, so that will be displayed. So here whenever the code JavaScript, my first JavaScript program. So whenever you click on this, so you see, you are able to see program, my first JavaScript program. This is the total content. The content must be kept inside of, in between these start tag, header start tag and end tag. If you write my first, if you change this as Java program, my first Java program, whenever you run this you will see my first Java program. If you change this as C program, C program, you will see only here my first C program. So this is called the content. Always the content to be kept inside of, in between start tag and end tag. So this is not C program, so it is JavaScript program. So simply you write JavaScript, otherwise simply you JS means JavaScript program. Next, so one button we need to create. That button is what? For this button is an element. So inside of the button element, that is to be started with button start tag, type is equal to button. Okay, type is an attribute here. So type attribute must be assigned with a value, string value, button. Okay, button must be kept inside of double quotation. If you want to change this, whether it is executed, let us see. Simply I have written like but. Okay, so whenever you run this code, I think you will get error. So what happens here? So you are getting, so there is no any problem. If you keep here, if you want to change this as Vasu, there is no any problem still, because one button is an element. Okay, button is an element. It has two tags, button start tag and end tag. So inside of that button start tag, one type is an attribute that is to be assigned with a value. Any value you can keep. Let us see. Vasu have kept. Is there any problem? There is no any problem. Anything. So but button type Vasu, there is no any meaningful for this. So for button type, you simply write button. Okay. If I want to write Vasu, there is no any meaningful. Na? So next, on click. On click is what? It is an event. Okay. So this button, whenever we click on that button, it is an event. On click is equal to. So here one method we need to call that is called JavaScript HTML method, mostly used method for JavaScript. Okay, that is called JavaScript HTML method, that is called document dot. Our document is what? An object. Okay, document, our HTML document is an object dot get element by id. That is a method. Okay, that is the method of JavaScript HTML method. So that method will be accessed with the name of document. Okay, document dot get element by id. Inside of that, one string we need to pass, that is what? Demo. So here this get element by id is what? An attribute. That attribute must be passed with a value. See, in paragraph section P, id is equal to demo. So that demo to be mentioned, if you simply write d, so that moment whenever you are calling that method get element, you need to simply call that as d. Okay, so now if you run this code, you will get error. Try to understand. So you will not get anything here. Whenever you click on this click me to display, because click me to display date and time, so this get element by id method will be used to find an element. Okay, here element is what? Your p element. Okay, but p element id is equal to d, but inside of the get element by id you have passed the value as demo. That's why this method will not be able to find out that element. Okay, so demo. So if you change this value, as demo value as D, because inside of the P element you have put the value ID for this attribute ID is equal to D. So now you run this code, whenever you click on, you are able to see. Understood that? On click, this value, this ID, whatever the value we pass in this paragraph section, okay, suppose if I pass Vasu, so I told you that P is an element, paragraph element. It has two tags, P start tag and P end tag. But inside of that paragraph element, ID attribute must be assigned with a value. Here I have that Vasu string passed to ID. So now you need to same ID string value you need to pass inside of this get element by ID method. So whenever you run this, there is difference. Get element by ID D string passed as a parameter here. D string passed as a parameter. But here inside of the P element Vasu, ID is equal to Vasu. So that's why there is a difference. So this get element by ID method is not able to find the element. Okay. So if you have passed the value as Vasu in P element, so same Vasu you need to pass here. Okay. Now run this code. So now run here. That is the. So now try to understand. One button type must be created. Button is an element. It has two tags, button start tag. Inside of that, one type attribute to be passed. Type attribute that value passed as button. On click is an event is equal document dot get element by ID. It is what? Get element by ID is the JavaScript HTML method to find HTML element. Okay, to find here element is what? P element. Inside of that ID is equal to also, and that dot inner HTML is used to change the value of that content of that HTML element. Content here, content is what? Content is what? Click me to display date and time. Okay, that is the content. So date method used here for inner HTML. So the date method will be used to display the current date and time. Okay, and inside of that button, okay, start tag, end tag, click me to display the date and time. This is the content. If you want to change this, click me to display, click, simply right click, click on button, click on button to display. So this content will be displayed. Okay, now you run this code, click on button to display date and time, whatever. Okay, click here. Otherwise no, if you right click here to display date and time, so whenever you run, click here to display date and time. So over the button, whatever the content, if you want to see over the button, on the button, so that content to be written inside of the button start tag and button close tag. Okay, so as I told you, the get element by ID is a method that is the mostly used JavaScript HTML method to find the HTML content, and by ID is what? ID is a attribute. So that attribute passed with a value Vasu, and same Vasu has passed as a parameter for this get element by ID method. So dot inner HTML is used to change the content, HTML content. Okay. So now let us see the total code will be written again. To see, I am going to I want to erase this total code. The total code I want to erase from here. Again I want to write the total code. Okay, understood that. The total code I want to erase here. I will write the total code again. See, nothing is here. Code is no code is here. If you run this, nothing. Your execution window, result window is there is no any result, and your code written window looking black, so that execution window wherever you will see the result, that is white, and the code area, so it is empty. Now I want to write from scratch. Now write. First we need to declare the declaration. That is very important. HTML declaration. Okay, don't confuse yourself. Yeah sir, you are saying that we are going to write the code in JavaScript, but why do you want to start HTML declaration? I told you at the starting of the classes many times, whenever if you want to become a good web developer, you need to be familiar with three languages: HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Understand? Without these three languages we will not be able to develop the websites. So inside of the HTML, all this CSS cascading style sheet and JavaScript's code will be written. Okay, so first of all we need to write HTML declaration. I told you that this is the one element. This is called one element. This is what? Document element. HTML document element. Okay, now inside of this, try to write this. First start with exclamation mark, and then we need to use doc type, capital letters. Then after we will see that, and then HTML. This is the indicates that this document is related with HTML5 document. This is that called declaration. So whether we can use doc type capital, otherwise small letter, we will check later. Then after we need to start with one more element, that is called your HTML element. Okay, inside of this HTML we need to say that HTML. This is the HTML. Once every element is started, that element to be closed. I told you that every element has a start tag. This is the HTML element start tag. Now this is what we need to create this as a HTML end tag. I told you that end tag will be started with / then same HTML. Now this is HTML end tag. This is HTML start tag. These start tag and end tag will be part of one element. Every HTML element has two tags, one start tag, end tag. Now then after come down, body element we need to create a body element. This is here started. Inside of this write body element. This is called body element start tag. So as I told you that every element has an end tag. Body element started with start tag, so body element to be closed with the end tag. Okay, body. Okay, now body is closed. Inside of this body we will write the code here. Okay, this is very important to understand. So first, then after one header section. So header section, I told you that header. So this is an element. So here write the header as h1. So this is the header section element. Element started with the start tag. Then inside of this, that header section, header element must be closed with the end tag. Okay, now one HTML, sorry, header section started with header element started with h1 tag, closed with n tag. Inside of these two tags, if you want to keep any content that is to be displayed on the screen as a heading, you need to write here. So JavaScript JS program, simply JS program. What do you mean of JS? JavaScript program. Okay, now this, okay, this is called JavaScript program. Now try to understand. I have written for JavaScript short JS. Now come down. Okay, if you want, whenever if you run this code na, so you will see, able to see, this is this header. Only the header JS program will be displayed. If you want to change this as Java script, okay, now whenever you run this, you will see Java script program. Whatever the content you want to see, you want to get display on the screen, that will